In the United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore.
When did white people ever have to apologize for being white? Where in the history of America did white people ever have to apologize for being white? I mean, am I missing a piece here? Am I missing a piece of history where white people had to apologize for being white? Literally never in the history of the United States of America have white people ever have to apologize for being white.
We shouldn't have to apologize for being white. What he's trying to say is we shouldn't have to feel white guilt for all the damages that we've caused to non-white people with our systemic oppression. We shouldn't have to feel white guilt for not keeping our word. Every single treaty that you've made with Native Americans, you've broken. What happened to 40 acres and the mule? What happened to reparation? Oh, we can't afford reparations, but you could afford 40 billion to Argentina, 65 billion to Ukraine. How many more billions to Israel? We can't afford reparations. What you really mean is we don't want to help black people rise from the condition that we left them in with 300 years of slavery. We don't have to apologize for being white.
What you're really trying to say is we shouldn't have to feel white guilt for our white supremacy, for our systemic racism. That's what he's trying to say.
We shouldn't have to apologize for being white.
You never have. And what led you to feel what it is that you're feeling, to say what you said, is called white guilt. And you're trying to convince yourself and your people not to feel it anymore. That's all it is, pal. And how are you and your entire administration going about helping white people not feeling white guilt? By encouraging them to be openly racist white supremacists? I mean, haven't you noticed all the white supremacy that all these MAGA politicians have been expressing lately? Literally, their entire campaign is led by white supremacy. Haven't you noticed how many white people today have been coming out the closet, the white supremacist closet, and decided to openly be racist again? Like back in the days? To these sort of white people, making America great again is taking it back where they could be white supremacists openly again. Call us racial slurs and not get in trouble. Discriminate against us, and the police, the government, the president is on their side about it. Donald Trump and his entire team has literally opened the doors for white people in this country to feel comfortable to be white supremacist and racist towards non-white people again. You never had to apologize for being white. The problem has never been you being white. Nobody in the world has a problem or gives a shit about you being white. The problem has always been that you're white supremacists. And you, Donald Trump, and the entire administration have been doing a great job at being exactly that. And now the entire administration is doing their very, very best to try to encourage as many white people in the country to also join them in being openly racist white supremacists. That's their idea of
making America great again. We don't have to apologize for being white.
That's just your white guilt eating at you. And the way you're going about suppressing it is by trying to make it cool for white people to be bigots again. Congratulations, dummy.
Shalom. Giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahaha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, pushing this doctrine of truth to the elect of the nation of Israel, who were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, pursuant to the curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28, which you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and those of you that be like unto the speckled bird, you're all still under these curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28, and you will remain under these curses until the Messiah, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, returns to lift or rescind those curses. Okay? This is why we are at the bottom. This is why we are suffering. This is why we are the butt of all jokes. This is why these devils, these Edomites, treat us like crap. Because we are still under the curses. Okay? So anyway, this is Brother Tazamar coming at you with another lesson. I wanted to do a quick response to this Ricardo Ignacio's podcast video here, obviously entitled J.D. Vance Says We Don't Have to Apologize for Being White Anymore. All right? Well, first off, I want to address this whole idea, this notion that they are white. The so-called white man is not white. Their biblical identity are the biblical Edomites. They are Hebrew Edomites, not white people, because white is not in the Bible. Okay? Black people is not in the Bible. Chinese people is not in the Bible. Okay? Now we know these Edomites, I'm going to refer to them as such. Okay? Like I always do, because they're not white. Okay? This is a social construct that they've assigned themselves to hide from their biblical identity. Okay? Which is just more proof that that whole concept of universal salvation, that the Lord loves everybody and he's coming to save all nations, it's crap. Okay? And why is it crap? Well, because if that were true, then these Edomites would have no reason to be hiding from their biblical identity. Why would you erase your biblical identity? All right? Why would you call yourself something other than what your biblical identity is? I mean, they've gone so far as to say that the Edomites are no more. They've been done away with. Well, obviously, Bible prophecy says otherwise. Bible prophecy says that there's no end to all the people, to all the nations, right? There will be an end or an expiration date for the Edomites after the Lord comes, puts them in chains, so they have to serve their 1,000 years of slavery pursuant to the book of Isaiah chapter 14, Revelation chapter 13, verse 10. All right, you're going into slavery, and you're going to pay for all the crimes, all the atrocities of your forefathers. Okay, Vance, JD. Okay, another thing. Everybody talks about this white guilt. Well, the Edomites, okay, do not feel any type of guilt. Okay, and I'll prove that. Because if they did, they would be remorseful for what their forefathers did. Okay, they'd be remorseful for all the atrocities that them as a nation committed against the Hebrew Israelites. Okay, what they feel is shame, and there's a difference. Okay, guilt compels one to correct the offending behavior. Okay, whereas shame, well, let's just look it up. Okay, but before we do that, let's go to the book of Zechariah, because the book of Zechariah tells you that these devils don't feel guilty, right? And they don't hold themselves guilty. If they felt guilty about anything, they would take action to right the wrongs, okay, that they committed. This is Zechariah chapter 11, verse 5. Whose possessors slay them. This is talking about the Israelites. Okay, and you Edomites were our possessors. Okay, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. If they held themselves guilty, okay, well, if they felt guilty, they would be compelled to, like I said, right the wrongs, okay, of their forefathers. And they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich. And their own shepherds pity them not. Our shepherds, okay, our leaders, all right, did not pity us at all. There was no sympathy, okay, for us whatsoever. They were put in their positions by Esau, Edom, these Edomites, and they never showed us any type of pity. In fact, they misled us, okay, with Christianity. All right, we know that that is a false religion and it's not biblical. All right, our forefathers weren't calling themselves Christians. The Romans called them Christians, the Edomites. Okay, so let's go to the book of, let's see, we're going to go to the book of Job. Because it tells you who's running the world. All right, they were given the blessing of the sword. They were given the blessing of the fatness of the earth, and this is why they're able to rule the world. They've been ruling the world, or they ruled the world under Greek rulership, under Roman rulership. Then the Dark Ages, of course, they were shut up in the Caucasus Mountains, and then during the Renaissance period, their rebirth, that's when they came into power again. So this will be the last time that these Edomites will be in power again. All right? This is Job chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Well, first and foremost, the wicked is a nation of people. See, a Christian would tell you that the wicked is Satan and his minions. Well, no, this is actually talking about a nation of people, and we'll prove that, okay? The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. We know Edom was given the blessing of the sword, and we'll get that, right? He covereth the faces of the judges. Okay, we know that these Edomites covered the faces of the judges. Okay, they turned so-called the Israelites, so-called black people, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, into so-called white figures. Okay, when you see their movies, they're all portrayed as Edomites. Okay, the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son are portrayed as what? Edomites. Okay, we know that their white skin, it's actually red skin, that's a curse. Okay, that's considered leprosy. All right. And this is why Esau came out red all over. It didn't say he came out white all over. Okay, he came out red all over because their blood shows forth through their skin. Hence the term redneck. Okay? So again, they are the wicked. Right? They covered the faces of the judges by way of iconoclasm. Okay? That's that process that they use to turn everything that was so-called black into to so-called white. Okay? So this is what they did throughout Europe, and this is what they did with biblical figures. Okay? And it says, if not, where and who is he? If it's not the Edomites, then who would it be? Well, we know it's the Edomites. Okay? We know full well it was them. It's no other nation. It's not the Chinese. It's not the Africans. It's not the Japanese. It's not the East Indians. We know it's the Edomites that covered the faces of the judges. Okay? They chipped the noses off of statues, chipped the lips off of statues to hide their identity. Okay? So you would know that those were so-called black people, okay, that were ruling all of Europe during the Dark Ages. Okay, even over there in Africa, they did the same thing. Okay, because they don't want the world to know that the people of color ruled the earth. Okay, at certain periods of time. All right. So let's see. Let's go to the book of Malachi. Chapter 1, and before I go any further, fair use, I am not profiting off of any of these or off this video of Ricardo Ignacio's podcast, this video. I'm not profiting off this whatsoever. I am using this to edify the body, the elect, okay? As you can see, I'm breaking down scriptures going into who the wicked are on this earth. It's Esau, Edom. All right. God's love, or Yahweh's love for Jacob. His name's not God. His name is Yahweh. He's a Hebrew Israelite, right? Or he's the God of the Hebrew Israelites. Okay, he's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith the Lord, yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord, yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau. Where's the love for Esau? And laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, Edom, you see how they use the name interchangeably? Edom, Esau. We are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them, wait for it, the border of wickedness. Why isn't Edom called the border of righteousness? Because they're wicked people. The whole nation is wicked. Okay? And we're going to go into their wickedness. Okay? We're going to get examples of their wickedness. All right? The podcaster, Ricardo, gave you some examples. Okay? But we're going to get some more biblical examples of their wickedness. All right? And this is what they're running from. This is what they're hiding from. They don't want to be known as the wicked. Okay? Although now they're still doing wickedly. Okay? During their Greek rulership, during the Roman rulership, they were doing wickedness. Okay, in the book of not Malachi, in the book of Maccabees and the Apocrypha, it said that evils were multiplied on the earth when Alexander the Great died. Okay, and his 4 generals succeeded him. Okay, his 4 generals divided up the land and took over their respective regions, and evils were multiplied on the earth. Okay? If these people were righteous people, why didn't righteousness multiply on the earth? Because they don't have any righteousness in them. It's not in them to do righteousness at all. Okay? They're the wicked. They're known as the wicked, or the border of wickedness, for a reason. The people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever, righteous hatred. Okay, the Lord hates them. We just read it. And I hated Esau. He still does. Okay, that hatred, okay, is perpetual. Okay, it's indignation forever. Okay, thus saith the Lord. Okay, now let's go to the book of Genesis, because this describes, okay, who the Edomites are. Verse 25, or chapter 25, verse 25. And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment. And they called his name Esau. Now, we know the story of Jacob and Esau. Jacob is the progenitor of the Israelites. Esau is the progenitor of the Edomites. Okay, you have the righteous in Jacob, and you have the wicked in Esau. Okay? And he's not eligible for salvation. The Lord is going to destroy him. He was only created to be the sword of the Lord. Okay? To punish the Israelites. And after that came his brother out, Jacob, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel. And his name was called Jacob, Yaquab. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. Okay? And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. And Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. All right, now if you had to identify who Esau was today, because Esau was a cunning hunter, all right, but his descendants would be just like him. Right? They would be cunning hunters also. Right? So who would that be today if you had to identify a race of people? The Edomites. Right? We know that they love hunting. They're always hunting some shit. They're always killing something. right? Here in America, Babylon the Great, okay? They'll take out a moose, chop the head off, and then mount it, take it to a taxidermist, and mount it on the wall in the house, okay? They do the same with a bear, okay? Skin the bear. Put a bear rug on the floor, right? They do the same with when they fish, okay? They gotta catch the swordfish, all right? Take it to a taxidermist, have it stuffed, okay, preserved, and then hang it up on the wall. See, they have to have trophies, okay? This is the pride of the Edomite, and this is biblical. You see it playing out today, all right? It started with Esau, okay? And he passed this down from generation to generation to generation, okay? The Edomites are the only ones that go on those African safaris so they can go over there and kill up all the damn wildlife. Lions, right? Rhinos, right? Hippos, crocodiles. I was on YouTube a little while ago, and you got these devils going over there to Africa shooting crocodiles, just killing, man. All they do is kill shit. They are always killing shit. And I don't want to hear that bullshit about, oh, it's a sport. Hey, it's a sport. You want to kill? All right, you consider that a sport? All right, I don't want to hear about the population control. All right, you devils just like to kill. It's in your nature to destroy. Kill, steal, and destroy. Okay, so like I said, I wanted to pull up, let's see, guilt versus shame. Hope I can find the same thing that I looked up on my phone. The way they laid it out. That's not it. Many people use guilt and shame interchangeably, but they are, in fact, different. Here's how to tell them apart. It's normal to feel bad about things sometimes. We all make mistakes like forgetting people's names or failing a test because we didn't study hard enough. But what about when you feel so bad for what you did that you can't separate the behavior from who you are as a person? Is that shame or guilt? Knowing the difference as well as the root cause of your feelings can help you find the best way to move forward. Okay. Shame and guilt are both closely tied to, all right, let's see. Shame says, I'm a bad person. In my practice, I find that shame shows up in things that clients repeatedly bring up as character flaws, integral parts of who they are, says Tracy Cobb, a licensed professional counselor in Atlanta, Georgia. They're unable to see themselves separate from the action or infraction. Guilt says, I did a bad thing. Clients who have problems with guilt can see their mistake and acknowledge their part in the situation, but they don't have the overwhelming feeling and urge to see themselves as flawed or damaged due to that mistake. Okay? Let's see. Okay, so how to recognize shame and guilt. Those who feel shame are more likely to feel angry, avoid their triggers, have low self-esteem, engage in self-destructive behaviors. That describes the Edomites. They're very self-destructive. Always starting wars, always starting shit with other countries. Okay? Always messing with the Israelites. Those who feel guilt are more likely to apologize. These devils ain't feeling guilty. That's why he said, we're not going to apologize. Okay? Or we're not going to feel, what did he say? Shit, I'm tripping. Yeah, I'm not going to apologize for being white anymore. Right. That's because they feel shame. not guilt, because they've never apologized. Attempt to repair, right? Have they attempted to repair anything? Okay, the brother talked about reparations. No, they don't feel it's necessary to give us reparations. Okay, we don't need reparations. The Lord is going to deliver the reparations, okay, when he returns. All right? And we're going to get those biblical reparations that's talked about. Screw your money. We don't need it. Feel compassion for others. Okay? None of these characteristics are in the Edomites. Okay? None of these characteristics or personality traits are exhibited in the Edomites. Okay? But the characteristics of shame certainly is. Feel angry, avoid their triggers, have low self-esteem, engage in self-destructive behaviors. Very self-destructive. Okay? Like the scripture says, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. All right? That's the Edomite for you. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, because it's a prophecy. It's prophesied that these devils would run from that name, Esau, Edom. All right? And this is proof. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places. His secret places, all right, just means his the labels that he gave himself. When he conquered lands, he would take on the names of the lands or the people of those lands that he conquered. Okay, like the Greeks, the original Greeks and Romans were Japhites. Okay, they were Japhites. But he conquered those lands, the Etruscans, right? And started calling themselves Greeks, right? Why didn't he call themselves Edomites? Because they were ashamed of that name. All right, they're terrified of that name. Okay, because they know that they do not have salvation. They're not eligible for salvation. Neither are the rest of the heathens. Okay, but certainly not the Edomites. They were created to do evil. They were created to do wickedness on this earth. They were created to punish you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And this is biblical. It's not my opinion. This is what's in the scriptures. Let's read that again. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself any longer. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. Okay, very, very soon he will not be in control. He will not be in rulership anymore, because the Lord is coming to take him out of his power. Okay, so he was able to hide himself under those names: Greeks, Romans, Americans, Europeans, right? Spanish. Okay, now we know that the Spain and Portugal were occupied by the Moors, who were Israelites, but they started following Islam and started calling themselves the Moors. All right, but we know the Edomites went into Spain and Portugal and took over, like they do. They're colonizers. Can't expect anything less. Leave thy fatherless children, I will preserve them alive, and let thy widows trust in me. For thus saith the Lord, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, talking about Esau, Edom, but thou shalt surely drink of it. For I have sworn by myself, saith the Lord, that Basra, the capital city in Edom, shall become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual wastes. Okay? So, you Edomites are going to be under a curse. Well, you're under a curse, but when the Lord comes, that is when the curses are going to intensify. And those curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28, okay, you are going to experience. You and the rest of the heathens. And you got 1,000 years to enjoy it, just like we did, okay? Well, I'd say we had over 1,000 years. in terms of all of the captivities that we had 7 captivities. And when you total the number of years we were in slavery, it's a lot. Okay? All right. Let's go to the book of Habakkuk, because it describes the Edomite perfectly. Chapter 2, verse 5. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Okay, so what's the wine he transgresseth by? Okay, his philosophies, feminism. Okay, that alphabet, that rainbow lifestyle, that's another one, right? Democracy, right? White supremacy is another one. Okay, this is how he's able to disseminate his philosophies and influence the world. Okay? This is why you're starting to see a lot of Western culture and influence on a lot of these other nations. You know, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Indians. Everybody wants to take after or be influenced by the Edomite because they're ruling the world. Okay? Let's continue. Who enlargeth his desire as hell and is as death, because everywhere he goes, he kills. All right? He kills, he destroys, he steals, and cannot be satisfied. They're never satisfied. They're never satisfied. They go in, they colonize, and they take and take and take some more. Okay? They take until there's nothing to take. Right? But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And they've been doing that since they've been in power. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. That's the debt. Okay, that these devils find themselves in. Okay, indebted to all nations. Okay, the national debt is over $1 trillion. Okay, it's multiple trillions. Right? Shall they not rise up suddenly, that shall bite thee, and awake, that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them, because thou hast spoiled many nations. All the remnant of the people shall spoil thee. That's what's coming to you devils, you Edomites, because of men's blood, and for violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Okay? So, guess what? You devils have a lot to pay for. The Lord is going to destroy you. Okay? The Lord is going to destroy you. When he returns, you think that for some reason you are going to be able to just say, I love sweet Jesus, and be delivered. No. Don't work like that. The Lord's coming to destroy you people. Okay? And he's going to destroy the wicked 2/3 Israelites that are joined hand in hand with you devils. Okay, this is the book of Amos, chapter 1, verse 11. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword. Talking about the Edomite, the Israelites. Okay, Edom pursued his brother with the sword. Now, who was given the blessing of the sword? Edom, the Edomites. And did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. All right? So, this is exactly what the Edomites did to you Israelites. Let's get their blessing. Let's look at their blessing, because it's pretty obvious who this is talking about. Genesis chapter 27, verse 40. And let's start at 38. And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above. Okay, so he has the fatness of the earth, right? And by thy sword shalt thou live. Wait a minute. The Edomites were given the power of the sword. They have the power to kill. They have the power to steal and destroy because of that sword, right? And shalt serve thy brother. Well, you're going to serve thy brother in the kingdom of heaven, right? That's what that means. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. And that's been playing out, okay, since these devils have been in power, okay? It started even before then, okay? But it really intensified when the Greeks took over, okay? It continued with the Roman rulership, right? And it's continuing even now since the Roman Empire has been revitalized, okay, if you will. Okay, let's go to the book of, get a couple more scriptures, and be here all day, because there's just countless scriptures that prove that these Edomites, okay, are the wicked. Let's go to the book of Psalms. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 17, verse 13. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Now, we already looked up who the wicked is. This is talking about the Edomites, right? Then we just looked up that the Edomites were given the blessing of the sword by Isaac, right? In Genesis chapter 27. Did we not just read that? From men which are thy hand, O Lord, from men of the world. Okay, you see how they're described as the wicked, but also described as men of the world, which have their portion in this life, meaning they're controlling everything in this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. Talking about the Israelites. That's a metaphor. Okay, because they devoured us. They're still devouring us. All right, as a nation. They are full of children and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. Okay, when they die, they pass on their wealth to their children, to their offspring. Right? They always have a little something for them when they pass on. Okay, so this is talking about the Edomites. Let's read the top up here, the subtitle. Prayer for protection against who? The oppressors. Why are the Edomites known as the oppressors? Because that's what they do. They're still doing it. Okay? And this is biblical. So you Christians, you can run from this all you want. But the fact of the matter is that this is talking about a nation of people who the Lord is going to destroy when he comes back. Let's go to the book of Luke, chapter 18, verse 7. And shall not Yahweh avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear along with them? Yeah, we're crying to the Heavenly Father day and night about these devils. Okay? JD and gang. Okay? They're wicked. They're evil. They hate us. Okay? And it's pretty obvious that they hate us. But that's okay. That's okay. We can get past that because we know the Lord's coming to take those devils out of power. Okay? Let's go to the book of 2nd Esdras. Because when the Lord comes back, there's no mystery as to who's going to be in charge. We know who's in charge now, who's ruling the world, who's calling the shots, right? We know this. It's the Edomites. Oh, Salakia. Let's see. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Why is it saying that Esau is the end of the world? Because his kingdom is coming to a grinding halt. His kingdom is wicked, okay? It is destructive, all right? It's evil to the core, so the Lord has to come and end this man's rulership and then establish the kingdom of heaven, all right? With 144,000 under him, okay? So that's how that's going to play out, all right? You Edomites are going to be destroyed. You're going to be taken out of power when the Lord comes. You're going into slavery for 1,000 years, and then, according to Obadiah chapter, well, let's just get it. I'm not going to read the whole chapter, although I really enjoy reading the entire chapter. Okay, because it goes into detail about how you devils are going to be destroyed. Okay, you hear that, JD? Let's see. The day of the Lord and the future. So we know this is an end time prophecy. Let's start at verse. We'll start at 15. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. You Edomites are heathen. You're not the righteous. You're wicked. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Like what? What are you talking about, Lord? Can you give us examples? Slavery, right? Thy reward shall return upon thine own head, okay? Slavery is going to be your reward since you dished it out to the Israelites, Esau, Edom. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. And this ain't talking about Kool-Aid, you Edomites. Okay? Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. Talking about the Edomites' possessions. Okay, we're going to take everything that you devils took from us. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. And they shall kindle in them and devour them. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it. Okay? So that is going to befall the Edomites, also known as the wicked. Okay? There's plenty of other scriptures that we can pull, okay, that I can pull up today, but I'm going to leave it at that. All right? And it's 45 minutes almost. Okay, well, I'm going to leave it at that. Lord's will, this was edifying. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Shalom.